Hello everybody, and just here, and welcome back to Frieren, episode 24, which is thankfully not the finale. Episode 24, 25 usually is the finale of a series, if it even gets to course. Thankfully, in case of Frieren, we have 28, so 5 more episodes, including this one, and I really couldn't be happier. There really should be more anime out there that are not conforming to the format of 24 times 20 22 minutes per episode, something thereabouts. Like, I know that the slots on the TV have like specific times, so you either do 24-minute episode or 48-minute mini movie or whatever, but still, I know, just a thought I had, I guess. But yeah, regardless of that, Frieren. In the previous episode, we started the new exam, or the new part of the exam. This time, led or proctored rather by Zenze. And because she is a pacifist, it's going to be an exam, a trial that doesn't require any fighting between the examinees. Even more so, it would probably be beneficial if everybody were to cooperate, which was exactly Denken's thinking. He wanted everybody to go into the dungeon because the task is to go to the bottom of the dungeon, and Zenze is going to go with them. The dungeon has been yet unexplored, so she hasn't been at the bottom either. Denken's thinking was that, hey, let's go everybody, and, an army of first rank mage candidates will just roll through the dungeon with no issues whatsoever. People didn't really share that sentiment, unfortunately. Unsurprisingly, right? Some people figured that, oh yeah, sure, we're gonna go all together and I don't trust you, maybe you're gonna drop me off somewhere and you yourself are gonna run, right? I'd rather go in alone than be exploited. Surprisingly though, it really surprised me that Kanne, Kanne and Lavin didn't join any team. They just went in together. I expected them to either team up with Frieren and Fern, or I expected them to team up with Denken. Similarly, surprisingly, Frieren and Fern didn't team up with anybody either. Not that they need to be fair, but still, right? I would have expected that level of pragmatism from them, but apparently not. So we have Kanne and Lavin entering as one team, Frieren, Fern, and Zenze. She joins them. She's not going to interfere, but she's just going to travel with them to the bottom, being the second team. We have Denken, Richter, and Laufen, sorry, and two other like randos. I think one of them is Edel, and Methody? Someone else. One of them is already out. And we have the team of Virbel. Virbel. God damn it, so many characters. Who's Virbel going in with? Not with Falsch. Yeah, Virbel, Land, and Ehre. Right, that's the... No, not Land. Virbel, Ehre, and the Flower Boy. Sharf? No. Whatever, doesn't matter. The teams are like from the previous exercise for the most part, except Kanne and Lavina are alone instead of being with Frieren, and Fern is with Frieren instead of going with Jubel and Land. And I assume Jubel and Land are together in a team? Probably. Jubel really took an interest in him, so she probably would not, deny herself the ability to spend some time with him and learn to empathize with him a little bit more, to steal his magic, of course. Right, so we are in the dungeon, and everything is going well. Frieren reminisces of her days of exploring dungeons with Himmel, how much Himmel liked exploring the dungeons and exploring them fully, not just rushing to the exit, not just rushing to the lower level, but rather fully exploring a floor. He's a true gamer. I knew he's, a kindred soul, and this just proves it even further. Frieren, of course, gambled on a mimic and lost that gamble, unfortunately, but they still managed to amass plenty of worthless junk, aka treasure. We don't really know how much of it is treasure and how much of it is junk. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those items did come useful in the end. We'll see. We'll see, of course. And the travel is progressing smoothly for Denken's team as well. They lose one member of the party. She has to use the golems that they got from Zenze. If they shatter a bottle with the golem rises, grabs the participant, and runs out of the labyrinth. And of course, if you use the golem, you are disqualified. But with the rest of the team, Denken did arrive at some big door, big chamber kind of thing, probably leading to the core of the dungeon or whatever is there. Unfortunately, the thing is protected by Frieren. Frieren's clone, but a very good clone. And as Denken himself said, if it wasn't a test, he would have shattered his own bottle and fucking bailed. Unfortunately, it's a test, and he really wants to visit his wife's grave up north, so he has to participate. He has to fight fake Frieren, and it's gonna be interesting. I don't think they will just, overpower that clone. I don't think that's something Denken's team can do. A real Frieren with Fern in Tau would probably be able to do that. Not Denken though. So I wonder what kind of a trick they use, right? Because that has to be how they solve it. They either bypass Frieren, somehow distract her, or they use some sort of a trick to defeat her. I don't know. They lead her to a mimic and she gets chewed up by the mimic. I don't know. Something like that. Something has to happen. And of course, I'm very much interested whether Frieren will have to fight herself, because that would also be super cool to see. And I guess that sums things up, right? It's damn, I talked for a lot. Words really don't come to me easily today for some reason. I talked for a long time. That's what I wanted to say. 8 minutes and a half. So how about I just stop talking and we start watching, right? To do it, you will need your subs, of course, to follow along with me. I'm going to need my sound to hear what's going on in the show, and I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And with that, we can start watching episode 24 of Frieren in 3, 2, 1, go. Right, and Virbel's team is facing off against their own clones. And yeah, he is with Sharf and Ehre. And Denken is fucked. If they don't find a trick to this encounter, they are like legitimately screwed. Yep. And we see this cool moment again. The flourish with her staff. I really like that. Dark Souls boss bar appears. I'm not satisfied with how my camera looks. Oh, I think that's better. Yeah, yeah, a little warmer. Little bit more warmth. Yeah, that's better. I don't look like a zombie anymore. I don't think the color is accurate. Like, you can take a look at my plant there. It should be green, but it's more like orange brownish. Looks better though. Colors don't have to be accurate, right? They just have to look good. Oh, that's probably from the fight between Denken and the Frieren clone. And now we know just how significant the rain was. And we know that it's Frieren versus Frieren. I wonder if it's actually going to be something that we see, or is Denken just going to deal with fake Frieren somehow? Monster. Interesting. Usually dungeons are like tombs of some sort of a king or a supernatural occurrence or something. Hmm. Okay, what is the weakness? Well, they are not matched with their perfect copies, though. Like, sure, Wirbel's team is facing off against their exact copies, but Denken's team isn't. They're facing off against Frieren. So unless, like, Frieren is also in this room, just hiding, and the dungeon picked her up, then your understanding of how the dungeon works is incomplete. A very good question. Now, what happened to him? Ah, Jubel's clone. Interesting. And she captured the golem too. I mean, she wants to learn about the enemy. It makes sense. What happens if the clone shatters the bottle? Yeah, why would it aim for the golem bottle? Okay, yeah, makes sense. It knows about golems. Yeah, he's losing a lot of blood. Do you not have any healing magic? Neither you nor land? Like, you'd expect that mages would get at least some training in healing magic, right? Straight into melee range. Yeah. Not even bothering with magic, just using the staff as a spear. Oh, interesting. The entire body. So you need to be... Okay. So the distance also matters, and it cannot be too close. Oh. So even your field of view can obstruct the ability. That seems too easy. That fish eye. Sorganil? Sorganil. Yeah, went out of range. Oh, of course it wasn't the real him. Huh. Damn, okay. I should have expected that. Hmm. I mean, apparently you are, because you did help her. You could have just run away using the commotion, but you didn't. And yeah, there's also that. So it's proof that you didn't wish ill on Yubel. You could have grabbed her bottle and shattered it, even as a clone, and wasted, essentially, but you didn't. So yeah, she got a very good read on him. Oh, that means we took the wrong turn. Let's continue exploring. Secret rooms. If Binding of Isaac taught me anything, there are secret rooms to be explored on every single floor, at least two. Or a mimic. Of course. I mean, it's surrounded on at least three sides by other rooms. Judging by the Isaac rules. Everybody's fighting for their goddamn lives, and Frieren's just hunting for treasure and having fun. And are they coming alive? Or just moving out of the way? Just moving, okay. That's a cool effect. Look how happy she is with herself. I love the music as well. Lore. Okay, so it is a king buried here. I thought it was supposed to be a monster, or were they calling this king a monster? I guess that also works, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not a grimoire though. And a trap? No, I thought she's gonna step into a pressure plate or something. Cue an incident. Fighting you? Oh, we're gonna join forces? Challenge. It would be boring if it was too simple, right? Your strength or your perceived strength? Because we know that those two are two different things. Yeah. Grimoires? Mimics? Those are not my weaknesses, yeah. No, it won't. Glomp. Oh, did you like get a full read on her? Oh, and a hug back. Don't go like crazy by trying to read her memories or something. Jealous. And another glomp. Okay, I guess hypnosis magic also progressed over time. Edel, interesting. I guess she's only good at hypnosis? She's with Virbel, so chances are she will make it here. Ah, right. That's a good point. Oh, I guess Edel is not with... Right. Edel is not with Virbel. That's Zenze's clone, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Unlikely. Ah, of course. Uh, mm-hmm. I mean, there's plenty of materials and objects around you. Can't you, like, rip out a brick from the wall and chuck that? I guess not. It's just going to grab that brick from midair with its hair, and that's gonna be that. Yeah, you would have to have like an intimate mental image of every single strand of your hair. Hmm. And now the image is a little too warm. That's better. Well, break the bottle. But yeah, it noticed you. That's what she means. Okay, I guess you can manipulate objects after all. And I guess Edel doesn't have like fully zero compatibility after all. Mm-hmm. uh, the Fern strategy. And it didn't work. Shit. And I liked her. Straight in the heart. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming none of you has any sort of healing magic. Or break your bottles. Okay, at least she might be able to survive. Yeah, probably. People stronger than you, yes. And we're back to the adventure music. I hope there's like a squad of healing mages waiting outside of the labyrinth. Look how happy she is. Yay! Challenge! Something hard! Ooh! And they're just firing at each other from behind a wall. Great music. Yeah, you have some good offense, some good defense. Not using obvious attacks. Yeah? Just drop the sailing on her. And he's also enjoying himself. You mean I should punch her? Actually, yeah. You might be able to use a saturation attack. And, of course, that's it. That's the episode. Of fucking course, we couldn't have gotten anything more. Too short of an episode, as always. As always. I wonder if everybody who is next to the chamber, that is Denken's party, Frieren, Fern, and perhaps Jubel with land, and Wirbel's party, that's a lot of people who are faring decently well. I wonder if all of them will pass. It would be surprising, considering that Zenze's tests are known to be almost impossible to pass, and now suddenly we have like 12 people. Means the test was probably too easy. It's Frieren's fatal vulnerability. I wonder what is that. Is someone's gonna transform into Himmel? Probably not, let's be honest. Frieren already faced against Himmel's duplicate clone, whatever you want to call it, and it didn't work. Chances are it's not gonna work against the clone either. Let's watch this episode again, shall we? Right, Wirbel's team against their team. Interesting. I really find it interesting that it's not an even, like, one-to-one match-up. Right? Jubel and Land are facing off against Jubel's clone. There is no Land clone. Could it be because a clone cannot be cloned? So the dungeon just didn't see Land as being there because he wasn't? Could be. Could be. So everybody is more or less matched against their clones, meanwhile Denken's team is matched against Frieren. Interesting why. OP. Yeah, a person is evenly matched against their copy, and we know that is not true. Why? I'm assuming their understanding of the dungeon is just wrong or incomplete. Perhaps at upper levels you are matched exactly against your clone, but the bottom level, the final chamber, is guarded by the strongest person, who is the clone of the strongest person who is inside of the dungeon. Could be. Right. Spiegel, the water mirror fiend, monster from a mythical era. Monster and yet a king. I know. Also, the character on the right just looks like Frieren. Lineage? Huh. That's an interesting thought. I mean, I'm judging the looks entirely by the hair, but let's be honest, in anime, hair is everything. If you have two characters who have similar hairstyle, they're probably family. I wonder, Frieren. And let's see, episode 24, and the timestamp is 242. 242. How do I note it down? Right. John Spiegel Fern's family? Question mark? I don't know, something like that. We believe that Spiegel reads the memories of those who entered them. Oh, so is it that it is a dungeon of a king, and the monster known as Spiegel protects the tomb? Probably. Yeah, that makes sense. There are similar monsters like the Einzam, yeah, and we know how to deal with them. But Spiegel creates physical replicas, and I'm willing to bet that the third test, if there's gonna be a third test, because I'm not 100% sure of it, is gonna be led by Falsch. It is the reason, yeah, it remains unconquered. And she chose this dungeon because they're not gonna have to, the participants are not gonna have to fight with each other. They're gonna be able to fight with just regular random copies. It's exactly the kind of a test a pacifist like her would put together, indeed. And a big attack. Big attack. With some nice impact frames. Thankfully, all of them escaped, which is really big that they managed to evade and escape Frieren's attack. Also, interestingly, Clone Frieren is not pursuing them, which tells me that a directive to protect the door is higher than the directive to defeat the intruders, which might be exploited somehow. I wonder if that's gonna be used, that she is not allowed to leave the room. You're chatty. Like, sure, okay, Land is not a particularly chatty type. We know that. He's very closed, he's very opaque. That's why he fascinates Yubel this much, probably. But here, like, she wants to solve the problem and she asks for your input. She wants to gather information about the enemy. That's not being chatty, that's just strategizing. And just like, what are their faces? Falsch and Geno said, or Gano in particular said, that this dungeon will require teamwork, it will require cooperation, and it will require strategizing. Wirbel is a great example of that, right? His team strategized who's gonna attack whom for the most effect, and it's working, clearly. So it's a very real, very fair assessment by Geno. It hasn't copied my memories. Incapable of speak. I wonder if that might also be something. Yeah, sorry. It's kind of late, and coffee is wearing off. Right, the clones are incapable of speech. We haven't seen any magic that would require a chant. So being incapable of speech is not a showstopper, right? You can be mute and still use magic. You don't have to chant fireball or whatever to cast a fireball. What if there was magic that required a chant and Frieren knows it, and she might be able to use it against the clone? Right? If the clone is perfect, it isn't perfect. It cannot speak. It cannot chant. Assuming, again, that there is magic that relies on chants. Swipe the bottle. Yeah, exactly, Yubel. If the first hit cannot kill, at least cut off their way of escaping. Makes perfect sense. Again, question, what would happen if the clone were to shatter the bottle? Would the owner of the bottle be escorted out, in this case Land? Or would the clone be? That's a good question, isn't it? What if we gave clone Frieren the bottle? I don't know how. I don't know how, but I know. Teleport the bottle into her vicinity or something. Clone Frieren grabs it and throws it away. It shatters and she gets escorted. Probably not. She would probably be able to just destroy the golem, so it's... it just wouldn't work. But interesting thought. What would happen if the clone shattered the bottle? I guess we know that bottles can be gifted, or at least we suppose they can be, because Yubel offers her bottle to Land, which would mean that maybe you can use someone else's bottle? That's not a given. We don't see anybody using someone else's bottle. So, I know. It knows about us too, yep. It's not attacking despite cornering us because it's wary of your Sorganail. I wonder if it's that, or every clone has an assigned patrol area. It's not attacking you because you are out of range. It only cares about that particular section of the corridor, and if you exit it, you essentially exit the aggro range, and it doesn't attack you. Same with Frieren clone, right? It's not trying to blow up the door and chase Denken and his party at all cost. It just stays there. So I wonder if it's something that can be exploited as well. That's a lot of blood. Use my bottle, but you need it to survive. Yeah, ultimately he is nice and considerate. Right? I know it's a clone, it's his clone, but if he wished ill on Yubel, he would have taken that bottle, his clone, shattered it, and the clone would be escorted out, and Yubel would be left with no way of escaping. Because Yubel's clone had a fake bottle as well. He could have completely screwed Yubel over, but he didn't. he didn't, and he came to help her as well. He didn't just use the commotion to run away. You can really see when some action is going to start when you see art style change to this. Right? All those like detailed walls covered in texture and lighting and shadows and whatnot, and then you just see flat, right? For a reason, of course, right? It's much easier to animate, but still, you can really easily see when an action sequence is going to begin. I need to see its entire body in order to cast Sorganail. So it's not just that if the target of the spell is obstructed by something, you cannot cast it, or rather, if it's obstructed by something, you cannot cast it, but your own field of vision also counts as an obstruction. That's a lot of limitation to that spell, isn't it? I love that she's like, I'm a mage, but... and just goes straight into melee range with her trident. Then who wins will come down to luck. Not exactly. And yeah, you went too far and Sorganail works. Thankfully, land ex machina made an easy, or rather, he just appeared, distracted her. Sorganail failed, and Yubel was able to dispatch her clone easily. The bottle was fake, the body was fake, and yeah, very good and very quick assessment of land by Yubel. You don't want anyone to die because of you, so I created a situation where my death would be your fault. That's also smart, and another like big part of a good read of Yubel. He wouldn't want to have it on his conscience that someone died because of him, would he? Are you able to empathize with me yet? It'll take a little longer. I've seen a meme of this where they're going through like stages in their life, right? Like, are you able to empathize with me yet? It'll take a little longer. Then there's the next panel, and they're like wearing whatchamacallit, wedding attire. Are you able to empathize with me yet? No, not yet. Then there's a panel with them having a kid. No, not yet. Then they have two kids. No, not yet. Right? It probably looked better shown than spoken, but I'm not gonna pull it up right now. In any case, I really enjoy their little... whatever it is they're having. I enjoy it. I like Yubel. Land... I can't say I like him. I can't say I don't like him. He's just kind of there. He doesn't have any sort of strong personality or anything, so it's kind of hard to go either way on him. I like Yubel, and I enjoy their travels together. There are stairs over there. Yeah, but hidden rooms though. Actually, Fern, if a hidden room is there, that means there might have been some hidden rooms on the higher floors. We have to go back. I love the music here. It's like very light-hearted adventure kind of music. Everybody's fighting for their life and they're just having fun exploring and dungeoneering. Look how happy she is. And look how happy Fern is. It's one of the few times that she's actually smiling. Here's the king. Well-preserved mural of the Unified Dynasty era, valuable discovery. Take a magical photo of it. Or something. I fully expected someone to trigger some sort of a trap here. I fully expected this chamber to be somehow significant, I guess, as well. Because far as I can tell, the chamber is just like whatever. It has the mural, but nothing else. I would have expected them to find something in there. But no, it's just a nice bit of lore. I guess that's also fine. Our progress has been unnaturally smooth. To a point. At the bottom of the labyrinth should be beyond this hole, but she is here. I love Frieren's reaction here. Everybody's losing their shit over having to fight Frieren, and she's like, "Oh, that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be a challenge. I have never fought myself, you know. It's gonna be nice to try." I really like her approach to the whole thing. She's really looking at it as an adventure, as a fun thing to do, as a fun pastime. I like it. I really do. This is how conquering a dungeon should be, right? It's been too easy for us all this time. This is dungeoneering. Does seem to match my strength, yeah. If that's a perfect recreation, then its weaknesses should be the same as Flesh and Blood version. What are those weaknesses, though? If you could enlighten us. Like, okay, we know what they are, right? Mimics and grimoires. But besides that, I don't know. Restrain magic or hypnosis, yeah, they're just not gonna work. And Methode can take a read on people with a hug and a whiff. I love how Frieren is like, oh, okay, this is my life now. I'm getting hugged. I might as well just hug back. She smells nice. Cool. I like it. And Fern is pouting for whatever godforsaken reason. I know why she's pouting. I don't know why she's angry. I love how she's pouting so much that her cheek just protrudes from behind her hair. And yeah, damn, you really are immune to all of that. No, Frieren-sama is mine. I'm not gonna give her away to anybody. The construction of your mental defenses is complex and solid, but it's an old spell. Right, so I guess that would be a weakness. That Frieren ultimately uses old magic, while new magic might have found some ways to bypass those old spells, right? Edel might be able to do it. She has no combat abilities. I beg to differ. She threw those rocks pretty damn well, and I would say it counts as combat. I'm not sure she'd be able to make it this far, and your assessment was very true. Also this, hypnosis only works on targets that have minds, and we don't know if those replicas do. And we get an immediate answer that, yeah, actually, the replicas don't have minds, so Edel would be useless anyway, whether she makes it to the bottom of the dungeon or not. And she didn't, so it's again a foregone conclusion. We cannot count on that. We have to defeat it. Blay and Dunste. Yen Dunst can't fight properly in this dungeon. I wonder why. What would stop them from fighting inside of those dungeons? Does their magic require solar power or something? Maybe. I know. I really don't know. Modern magic isn't suited to dungeon combat anyway, and this is what makes you unfit to be a first-class mage, right? A first-class mage doesn't care where they have to fight, be it open plains, be it the confines of a dungeon, be it underwater or in the sky. They have something in their repertoire to allow them to survive and fight. So this is a very good test, because we know that the mages who are here can manage in an open environment, can they manage in the confines of the dungeon, though? Those three cannot, apparently. Apparently, Blee, whatever the fuck his name is, Bly, yeah. Bly cannot fight in the dungeon for some reason. Dunst cannot fight in the dungeon either, and he doesn't even want to, right? He's like, oh, modern magic, it's all about fighting on the plains against armies. I learned how to do that. Who even explores dungeons nowadays? What is this? Right? It's not an approach of a first-class mage. It really isn't. Cool. Cool. An unwelcome side effect of most dungeons having already been cleared during the era. Yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense. Most dungeons have been cleared, so there is very little need for mages to know how to clear the dungeons, because it's just not something they have to do. But still, what if you have to fight inside of an enemy stronghold, or deep inside of a mine, or in a kobold cave, or whatever, any sort of other confined space? You should still know how to do that if you claim to be a first-class mage, or if you're aiming to be a first-class mage, right? Powerful defensive spells take too many resources, so most attack spells use natural objects. Yeah, we heard that spiel from Richter. Yeah, it was Richter who was lecturing Kane and Lavin, manipulating and transforming objects in the area, which is also how Sharf works, right? He creates objects in an area and then manipulates them. It consumes less mana than creating objects out of nothing. Yep. But yeah, this thing just controls every single strand of its hair individually. And we know that's actually super cool, because we learned earlier that magic is based on imagination, right? And that Kanne cannot just suck out the water from a person because she cannot visualize water being inside of a person. So you cannot manipulate your hair if you cannot visualize your hair. She can. Zenza can. So if she can visualize every single strand of her hair to manipulate it, she can probably visualize every single blood vessel inside of your body and just rip them out through your eye sockets if she wanted to. I really like imagination as a measurement of magic power. I really like it. I really enjoy this magic system. We're not fighters. It's time to give up. So give up. Throw down a bottle and escape. Unfortunately, the both of them want to continue fighting. Unfortunately for Edel, because she was the one who got struck. And the two who were egging her on just got out scot-free. Two ways to defeat defensive magic. Yeah, either hit it hard enough or slip through it. So you either hit the shield until it breaks, or you curve your spell around the shield. Basically. Zenza is curving her attacks around the shield, and those attacks are also very strong. So it's both. High numbers of attacks or really strong attacks? No, both. 15 seconds, no, unfortunately not. Cool effect on her eyes. Kneel, and yeah, it didn't work. I'm glad that she's alive. I was really afraid that she's going to die, but no. She's thankfully alive, enough to shatter her bottle, enough to escape, and hopefully there are priests and healers waiting outside of the dungeon. Run as quickly as you can to the fighters. No, shatter your bottle and give up. Because if you're having trouble here with a person who's using her hair as a Spider-Man web, You should probably give up, honestly. I thought for a moment that the golem is just not going to do anything. Right? Because we have this, like, super dynamic pose. Oh, yeah, I will protect you. And it's this big hulking mass. And then it just sits down. Oh, shit. Zenze gave them the bottles. What if it sees Zenze and doesn't want to go against its master? Ha! Right? No, thankfully not, though. Thankfully, it does prioritize the owner, and is decently strong to be able to stop this hit. Is there anyone who can safely reach the bottom? And then it cuts to Yubel and Land being on an adventure with some nice adventure music as they have been fighting for their lives. Who's this dude? Oh, that's Tone, whatever. It's the guy who denied Denken's proposition to team up and went in solo. Yeah. And I guess he's lost. Use your bottle unless you lost it, in which case I guess you're fucked. I fully expected someone to run out of this dungeon, or one of the golems to run out carrying someone. Perhaps Edel to, you know, show us, the viewers, that, okay, if you're worried about her, she's alive and well, it's gonna be okay. But no, nobody did. We lack information. We should assume it doesn't have a mind. We'll probably have to use brute force. Yeah, I can do it. Nah, I'll win. Says Fern. Later, though, of course. I love this. They both are just bunkered behind the Sharf's wall and just firing magic at each other, like fucking trench warfare. It's just trench warfare. Except, I guess, Ehre is at the top, throwing some rocks at them. It's not a bad matchup. Ehre crushes me or Sharp in a simple clash of mana. I guess she has high reserves of mana. Not quite as high as Fern's, but still higher than usual, probably. And meanwhile, Virbel is not playing straight. He's not firing magic straight at the enemy. He pretends to miss, but it all comes down when the ceiling just collapses. Brute force. In that case, I may be able to kill Miss Frieren. And I love how Frieren's reaction is like, oh, yeah, sure, actually. Let's try that. Let's try that. That's gonna be interesting, right? It's an adventure. It's a test. It's something fun. It's something unusual. I haven't seen myself being defeated yet. It would be nice to see that, right? I love it. I really, really do like Frieren's approach to this dungeoneering. And I especially love the contrast with everybody fighting for their lives and her just having fun. Let's come up with a strategy. That's most of it. So we had the information. Why don't we work together? Don't you think you should apologize? I don't like this. They don't have any weaknesses. You seem to be enjoying yourself. It's Frieren's fatal vulnerability. I wonder what is going to be Frieren's fatal vulnerability. I wonder if we're going to... Oh, actually, let's do it this way. Yeah, that was episode 24. And as I said, I'm wondering what's going to be Frieren's fatal vulnerability. We can go two different ways with it. We can go fun, aka we could use the running jokes for the weakness. For example, I know, capturing a mimic inside of a ball of magic, putting it in the room, and the mimic just chomps down on Frieren and immobilizes her. And she doesn't want to free herself because that's gonna destroy her hair, right? And she's just sitting there, and you can lay down magic on her or just sneak past or whatever. Alternatively, a grimoire. Maybe someone has a cool, interesting grimoire. Lay down a trap with it, or I don't know, try to exchange the grimoire for Frieren going away, or something like that. We could play it for laughs. The other way is going for something serious. We could use Himmel. We could use Frieren's former party. We could use the fact that Frieren might not want to fight Fern. So the clone Frieren will also be, unwilling to attack Fern. We could go two ways, and I wonder which one is it going to be. And the first one, of course, is going to be much more fun. The second I think, more likely. I know, we'll see. We will see about that. Anything else about this episode? Yeah, it's still surprising to me how many people are still up and about and alive. And I wonder what is going to happen to eliminate some of them. If Frieren really is the final boss, then it really seems like Fern, Frieren, Denken, Methode, Laufen, and Richter, at the very least, will pass. So that's 6 people. Maybe Land and Jubel as well, assuming Frieren clone isn't replaced by something else, or that they arrive as Fern is clearing the stage and they can all go together. There's also Wirbel, Ehre, and Scharf, who are also doing really well. That would be 11 people who can potentially pass this test. That's a lot. And I say it with a little bit of trepidation, I guess you could say. I'm usually not a huge fan of, how do I say it? Main characters, main storyline, whatever you want to call it, breaking the established mythos of the world. Meaning, for example, there is ancient magic that only selected few people who are born once every 1,000 years or whatever can learn. But by the end of the show, all 7 members of the party know this magic and were able to learn it, right? It goes directly against the established mythos. Same here. We know that Zenze's tests are extremely hard, to the point where sometimes no people just pass it whatsoever. It really wouldn't sit well with me if now 11 people passed. Right? 3, 4, okay, sure. Very strong contenders this time around. Usually nobody passes, maybe like 1 person. This time around 3 people. Alright. Maybe the test was a little too easy, right? Maybe some really good candidates. It can be explained, even within the context of the world. But if just now, conveniently, all 11 people happen to pass, it really would feel like they did it through the virtue of being main characters. Not entirely, because we know that all of them are really strong. And all of them passing this test would not be uncharacteristic. Right? It wouldn't be them passing for the sake of, or rather, them passing because they're main characters. It wouldn't feel that way, but at the same time it would. If it makes any sort of sense. I don't know how to wetter. I don't know how to better dress it up in words. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, on one hand, it really would feel alright because there's so many strong people, but on the other, it would raise a question: why were there no years with 11 people passing in either? What happened that, what makes this test special? What makes this year special? What makes it so that this year's exam is a little bit easier than usual and the candidates are stronger than usual, right? I know it would feel like a little bit too much of a deviation from the standard that has been established pretty damn firmly. So I wonder how are they gonna solve it. I wonder how many people are still going to fail. I don't know. It really doesn't feel like anybody would be a candidate for being eliminated. Ehre, arguably. I can see Land also not being able to pass somehow. I can see Wirbel not being able. Tentatively. Methode. Richter, arguably. It still leaves us with a lot of people who I'm like pretty much 100% certain will pass. I don't know. Maybe Zeria will just have to give out a lot of spells this time around. Or maybe there's another test in store that never was used because usually nobody passed this one, so we're not gonna send them to be tested by Falch. But this time around 11 people passed, so there's next test led by Falch. We'll see. Do we even have enough time for a next test? Episode 25 will be, I don't think it will end the dungeon exploration. I would say we will end it episode 26 at the earliest. Episode 27 or 28, Frieren and Frieren might get their certification. And plus minus one episode of Slice of Life stuff. Yeah, I really don't think we have the time for another exam. So either we're going to break this arc in half and continue the exam in the next season, which I don't think they would do, or this really is the last exam. Or the last exam is just going to be a theory. So we just spend a single episode on Frieren and Fern having to, scribble down the theory and do calculations and whatever. And Fern passes because she learned a little bit of modern magic. Frieren doesn't because she used like outdated stuff, or she doesn't know what a magic NFT is and that fails her test or whatever. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. And yeah, I've been talking for a lot, so I guess we should stop here. I really enjoyed this episode. It was really cool to see the contrast between the teams. It was really cool to see all of those teams. It was really cool to see that, yes, there are stakes. That, yes, someone almost died. Two people, one person and one clone, I guess, almost died. Or I guess Land would have died if he was his real self. It's really nice to see that there are stakes and there is a possibility of failure, and that people actively do fail this test, because I was concerned that it's going too easily. I'm still concerned that it's going too easily and that too many people are on a straight road towards passing. But a couple of failures kind of sort of alleviated those fears, I guess. Other than that, great episode as always. I love adventuring with Frieren, and I'm gonna be waiting for more. But you guys, you tell me, what did you think of this episode, of my reaction, my theories, stuff like that, in the comments down below. Also, like this video, If you liked it, subscribe to be notified of future videos, not only Frieren, but also Shangri-La Frontier, Major Record finale coming soon, Majo to Yaju, plenty others coming in the future. Click the bell to be notified of when I go live, because I do sometimes support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube. On Patreon, down below, for $10 a month, you get early access to non-seasonal shows. For $5, you get to vote in non-seasonal polls. One will be coming very soon. And for just $1, you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. Also on YouTube, also down below, you can support me via memberships, super thanks, super chats, stuff like that. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now, with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB Without a Net, Survivor, Zayrainer, Dr. Watt, Akamancer, Marsh, UK Ally, Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them without having to break your golem bottle.